The other two sets of equations you have are the even odd identities and the cofunction identities. The even odd identities I'll deal with first. If you say sine of negative x, you're going to get out negative sine of x. If you say cosine of negative x, you're going to get out negative cosine of x. I'm sorry, you'll get positive cosine of x. And if you say tangent of negative x, you'll get negative tangent of x. The way I remember this is a negative angle means you're going backwards this way. So I like to think of it as I'm in the fourth quadrant. If you're in the fourth quadrant, all students take calculus. Cosine is the only one that comes out positive. So that's the same thing here. If you put in a negative angle, cosine's the only one that comes out positive. The other two are negative. This set of identities is not as important as the first two sets. Like, this is kind of important, but not as important. The first two sets are, like, vital. You should know those. And the last one, is the cofunction identities. It's also not as important as the first two. It's basically, if you take pi over 2 and you subtract an angle, you'll get cosine of that. Like sine of pi over 2 are 90. Subtracting by x, you'll get cosine of x. The same thing in reverse for cosine of x. So if you take cosine of 90 and you subtract x, you'll get sine of x. The way you can think about that is, and secant goes, like, if you put cosecant here, secant will go here, because they're buddies. Yep. Yep. And then secant, you do the same with the way I think about this is, I think about this as a graph. If you were to graph sine starts at 0 and moves along like this. If you were to graph cosine starts up here. And then goes down here, touches, and comes back up like this. This distance, so you can see that if you were to push this, like over here, the graphs would match up. That distance is 90 degrees or a pi over 2 apart. That being said, that if you were to push this here, since they're pi over 2 apart, what you're saying is, if you move them pi over 2, they're equal to each other. And then the same thing happens with tangent too. Tangent and cotangent.